Wait a minute, what happened here? How is there so much money in the pot? How is there $5 in the pot? I thought he raised and I called. What is going on? How did that pot get so big? Did he just open huge? What the fuck happened? Oh god, he opened to 275. Oh Jesus. That one's on me. That one is on me. Let's get that into the database. Yeah, so for mouse tabling, there is some software that's really helpful. Stack and Tile or Table Tamer. And the way that stuff works is there's like 5 different ways that you can set up your stacking, but what I tended to do was I would have like one huge stack on my second monitor of all the tables, and then when it was my action, the tables would pop over in a tiled formation, and then when I folded, they would pop back to the stack. And for a while, like if I'm playing like 16 tables, then I have my tables pop back every single action. But if I'm just playing like 8 or 12, I would have them tile if I V-pipped. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty unbeatable. I do know somebody that has a positive 6 BB win rate over 60,000 hands. Or actually, it's over 90,000 hands. So I've seen people beat it before, but like it wasn't a reasonable player. It was like a super, super sick player. So I don't know if that really counts. Like it was somebody that doesn't play 200Z and was just like, I don't know, probably playing for a prop bet or something. Not gonna fold. Not gonna do it. I'm not going to fold. Charge his gutter with King King. Damn it. Maybe I can call and the river will be a jack. And then we'll go check check. And I'll save a $1.48 against pocket aces. So sevens, if this guy has a 5, he'll just check to showdown. If he puts any more money in, he'll have a better hand than sevens, and I will fold. I'm guessing he had ace 5, or maybe 5-6. Ace queen seems loose, because we were like 4 ways. Back-to-back subs, Danon, Jesse Forbes, fucking 15 months, man. Thank you. Live pressing buttons, fucking around. Collecting my subs so that I can sneak away for another month. Survive off my Twitch dollars. Yeah, I can confirm Busto. I can confirm it. Dude, I don't know. That guy just really liked his pocket 5s. Look, I can't blame the guy. That play probably is going to work pretty well against me. Limp re-raise, triple barrel. I'm not going to call down enough. I guess he didn't triple barrel. I think he checked turn. Checked and called or something. Or he checked min raised, shoved river. So what have you guys been up to? Who's been grinding? Anybody out there move up recently? Move down recently? There's no bots. There's no fucking bots at 10 and L. No bots. There might be some bots. Yeah, I would guess these games are probably tougher than 1-2 live. Flush. Open ender. 3-bet pre, kind of shitty board, shitty hand. Just gonna stop putting money in at this point. Somebody asked me about what I thought about the Phil Galfond challenge, and I feel bad for Phil. I feel really bad for Phil because he's clearly running super, super far under expectation, even if he's a bit over EV. And it just sucks for him to put out like a sick challenge and then run super bad, and now everyone thinks he's washed up, and the community just doesn't. They're not going to give him ample respect because he's so sick and he's so fucking good, and it doesn't mean that much that he's losing to Venny VD over 10k hands. All that being said, I did bet on Venny VD against ZC. This is True Poker. It's a skin on Winning Poker Network. Same as like ACR, WPN, or ACR, Black Chip, Fabulous Poker, Poker King. There's a ton of skins. Yeah, so poor Phil, man. Yeah, he's going to crush whoever this guy is. He's going to get annihilated by Action Freak. Like, Action Freak would be a favorite against Venny VD. He'll beat Jungle probably, and he'll beat Adams. I've been trying to bet on Action Freak since the line was like minus 140, and now it's minus 230. Can you name ACR regs who you think are bots? I think Zuriber is a bot. I think Jardani has a pretty high likelihood of being a bot. If I was the poker site, I wouldn't ban Jardani, but I would try to investigate somehow using the database and try to figure out maybe he's a bot. But I would ban Zuriber based on everything I've seen. King Queen is honestly just a fold, especially as these stacks get deeper. Got a green tag on this guy, which I think means friend. It could also mean mega whale. Yeah, poor Galfon though, man. He's like just the best human, and he's so good at poker, and he's world class, and he's just like my hero. Like, I have two heroes. One of them is Yasser Sarawan. The other is Phil Galfond. So I'm kind of sad to see Phil Galfond having a tough challenge, but So it goes. I mean, sometimes you take a pretty sick challenge and then you just run at like bottom 2% of variance and it sucks. Let's go. Flush draw. 2 overcards. Okay, he bets 459. Let's run the cards. Looking for a 10. Looking for a jack. Fuck me. Yeah, man. Lack of drama. They really, really needed to show some whole cards. They've really needed to show whole cards. It would be so much better, even if they delayed showing anything for a month. If they were able to, like, delay a month and then show both players' whole cards or just Phil's whole cards or something, the production value would be so much better. Yeah, Action Freak, like, he's in the streets every day. He's been playing Linus every day and crushing him. The one thing Phil has in his favor is it's only a 15,000 hand match. But I still think he's pretty big underdog. Still stuck at 200, ran bat at 500. Yeah, sucks, man. Stay at 200. Stick to where you're winning and then take another shot in a few months. Yeah, Action Freak is like just the sickest. Like, I was looking at the public tracking for stars, and Veni Vidi was winning like $1 a hand or something, $2 a hand, which is really, really good. And Action Freak is winning like $6 a hand, which is like nearing Kumikon. Jardani, very likely. Zuribur, I think it's a U, but I've reported these guys. Full Speed was also a bot. Dude, I'm kind of tilted about that. So Full Speed apparently got banned for being a bot. I don't know. You know, I don't have a receipt, but people say he got banned for being a bot. But like, I played zillions of hands against that guy. Where's my refund? You know, there should be some sort of refund situation. Best tips for crushing the micros. You know, I don't have that too figured out because I haven't played micros in a while, but playing pretty ABC, playing pretty tight. You can kind of be patient and just let the money come to you. You don't need to make major hero calls or hero folds. Yeah, Kumikon. I mean, Kumikon beats everyone at heads up PLO. Everyone except for me. I have 90 hands against him, and I destroyed him. I made the nuts, and I raised with the nuts, and I beat him. Well, M. Rashadog or Runchucks, these guys would know better than me. Run It Up should host Jungle Man vs. Dur. Kumikon being a bum hunter. I mean, I know he played some hands against Berry Sweet. And I know he battled Regs. I watched, I sweated him play, a ton of 25-50 against Martingale for the win on ACR. Now, Martingale, I've heard a few players say that he's, a little bit of a spot at the higher stakes, but he's still no fish. That's a guy who's won millions of dollars playing PLO. Holding lobbies is not always super meaningful. Just 2020, people are not battling very much. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get a refund. They just don't give refunds. Not to cash players. Like, I could try to send them hands and shit, but it's like an hour of effort for 1% chance at getting a tiny refund. No commentary on the Reyes-Jones fight. I don't watch UFC, but I have some friends who are like pretty hyped about Jones, I think. Whoever the underdog is, they're pretty hyped. Yeah, I always say Kumi Khan's name wrong. Yeah. The dude's retired. Hey, you're welcome for streaming. I'm going to triple barrel off. I feel like I've been one-tabling for 10 minutes. Oh yeah, Barry is scary. I've seen that guy hold down 40k no limit tables and not get action. If I had to pick like one player to be the best heads-up PLO player on the planet, I would choose Barry Sweet. And I mean, that's not controversial, but I would choose him by like a pretty large margin. No respect for the cum icon. I loved his podcast. I thought his podcast was great. I thought people gave him unnecessary shit for like just not being very personable, but you gotta understand, the dude's been like grinding online poker for 5 years. Like, please be sympathetic to us, okay? Us online poker players lack social skills. We're not personable. I'm sorry. Go easy on us. Well, it's kind of time to fold. Kumi Khan had the most bland personality in the world. Seems a little autistic. Yeah, maybe he is. I doubt it, but maybe he is. But yeah, I mean, it's just his field of experience is like if he was a teacher or something and spent his last 5 years like working with people, I'm sure he'd have like a way different personality. So playing micros, I think your primary goal should be to play very, very logically and try to think through your decisions in just a very logical way. Like, I'm doing this because I want this to happen. And just be very, very simple with your thought process. And even if some of your ideas are a little bit wrong, if you're generating ideas, that's how you'll improve and like continue to get better. One thing I kind of recommend, and this is a little funny, but I kind of recommend talking to yourself as you play. Even if you're just like muttering under your breath, I think it's a helpful practice because it forces you to think. It can be easy to like just click buttons and not think about anything, but if you're commentating, like constantly explaining what you're thinking about, it forces your brain to come up with stuff. Okay, 3-betting ace jack suited. Nice flop. So my thought process here is very simple. I have a nut draw, we're deep, so I want to build a pot. So I'm going to bet. Turn, same thing. There aren't too many bad outcomes from betting. He can fold, he can call and I can get there. He can call and the river could be a king and I can bluff. It can go like call brick and I just show down and that's okay. Pocket tens, ranges are pretty wide. 4-betting for value. Not a huge fan of this flop. I'm gonna go ahead and just check. I feel like my hand is kind of a showdown hand. And I'll call a bet, but I probably won't call a turn bet. Unimproved. I think his jam is probably a queen. Okay, so raise, min raise, call. Check the flop, I check the turn, and I'm checking because I just want to show down. Like, I don't have a hand that's going to get 2 streets of value multi-way with such a bad kicker. So the river, I decided to try to get a little value from ace jack, queen jack, and then I got shoved on. And when he's shoving here, I mean, he's risking 841 to win like a $1.30, so he's betting like way more than the size of the pot. He's betting huge. So I really only want to call this bet with very, very strong hands. This isn't a good bluffing opportunity for him because he's risking so much to win so little. So I'm just going to call like probably like 3 of a kind or better. I can have pocket 4s. And I don't need to call too much else. I think if I just call pocket 4s and fold everything else, I'll be okay. I mean, my range is pretty strong to begin with here. Like, I bet into 2 players on the river. I'm not going to be bluffing here too often. betting small on the flop is okay with king 9, but really, like, aside from like folding out an ace x or something, I'm not super excited about building a pot with such a weak hand. Like, I can't, if I hit a 9, that's not good because there's a 4 straight. If I hit a king, it's not like I can win a huge pot multi-way with king 9 trips. So, keeping this pot small, heading toward showdown. Ace 4 of clubs, squeezed pre-flop. Now, flopping nothing, I'm just done. Done with the hand. Going to check and give up, even with this gut shot. Playing some poker, guys. Feels good to be back. Haven't streamed in a long time. Okay. Gonna go for a bluff. Claim I have a 6 or a queen. So, I have pretty strong assumptions about this situation. And they're not always true, but here's my assumptions. I think my flop raise will do really well. I think after I raise the flop and he calls, I think betting the turn does terribly. I think I get very few turn folds. Because I'm kind of putting him on a 2-pair hand once he calls the flop raise. So I called 4-bet, went call. I'd like to go for 3 medium streets here. I don't want to go like big and shove, but I do want to get 3 streets of value. And when the flush comes in and pocket 9s gets there, I'm kind of scared at this point. I'm going to go for a little block bet. Try to get a little value from like pocket 10s, and then I'm just gonna fold. Getting shoved on. I think check folding the river would be perfectly fine. Checking back, king 3. Basic idea is I can't get 3 streets of value, so I also have a ton of total air, so I'm just gonna check back almost all of my kings, and I'm gonna check back almost all of my air. Dude, Venom's got a great voice. Like when we play home games or when he streams, Venom's got a good soothing voice. Oh my god, overbet. So gonna call king 9. I'm gonna call all of my king 3. This is, however, a scenario where just folding is probably the right play at micros. God, blocking pocket threes is kind of nice. All right, dude. We'll pay the guy off. We'll pay the man off. So that's a little bit of like a fancy play syndrome that probably is unnecessary. Any names? Yeah, I can say names. I can say names. I mean, okay, 10-9 suited, let's play. I'm fine sharing some names because the names I have, I've just figured out doing detective work on my own, so I'm not like revealing any info that was given to me confidentially. Names. Well, most people know Baron is hyphen, and Balanced Range is MMA, and Goose Core is Bam Olaf. I'm still trying to figure out who exactly Stefan is, because he could be a few different people. He could be Seven Sky around me. He could be all in numbers. Katya, I haven't seen in a while, but he was Blowjob Obama, or Blowjob Obama or something. The scariest player, I think, is Nij Greska, who is Jasam Gale. Another pretty scary player is Joe 1961 is Give Me Up. What's the idea behind min racing and micros? Is that good? There really is no major idea. Raise first in size is not terribly important. Anything from min raising to 3xing. So there's no real idea behind it. It's just I want to start a pot. Start playing the hand. I'm not going to limp. Raising gives me a chance to win the pot. What the fuck? And he hits his ace. Insane. I mean, I can't complain too much. I did bink a 10 against pocket kings for like a $2,600 pot, but still kind of bullshit, right? I mean, kings against aces. Not gonna be happy about it. How much do I change my strategy? Playing micros versus higher stakes. A fair bit. I don't really know yet because I haven't played micro stakes in forever. I'm guessing my three betting stays similar. Pre-flop stays similar, I guess. Maybe, probably 4-bet bluff a little bit less. And flat call a little bit more because there's less squeezing. So a hand like pocket fours on the button that I can flat call and hope to go multi-way. Whereas at higher stakes, that gets punished a bit more by squeezes and people playing a little more carefully post-flop. Like, just to give an example, if you flat call the button with pocket sixes at high stakes or mid stakes, and you flop a set, it's kind of hard to just get like 150 big blinds in against an overpair or against a top pair. People are like You know, they're range checking a lot of flops, and they're like check call, check folding, and they make it kind of tough. But in these games, if I flop a set against an overpair, I just get all the money. Sauce, I don't know what Sauce's name is. Ticklish Male, I have no hands with him, but it's Tonka, right? I have a ton of respect for Tonka. I think he's a terrific player. Yeah, Jossam Gale, he's the player I'm most afraid of. There was a game the other day, I think it was like a 15:30 game, that had a pretty big wreck, but I had to take a seat on the immediate right of Jossam Gale, and I decided not to play because I didn't want to have to play with that guy. Too scary. So I think that players being worse cancels out rake being high. So I'm okay doing flatting at like micros and lower stakes. But like I've tried to emphasize already, these small things they're not going to affect your bottom line or your ability to move up. So how you construct your 3-betting range, what size you choose for pre-flop, RFI, that stuff is not going to really affect things too much. Look, okay, there's no shame in going busto and moving down. Absolutely no shame. I'm doing a bankroll rebuild. Eventually we'll get back. Button clicker, not a player I see at 6 max too often. I think he's usually a heads-up specialist. Okay, so Give Me Up, played with this guy earlier. Stefan, played with this guy earlier. These guys are sickos that I do not want to play with. So I think, I'm not sure, but I think All in might be Stefan. They're both from Russia. They're frequently on at the same time. They're both very aggressive. And there is also a name similarity here where, like, Stefan 11222, all in 22333. I sense a name similarity. So likely the same player. Yeah, I've never played with Tonka to Glishmail. I think he only plays 50-100 rat hole for cash games. I don't know who Sherlock Homeless is or Cobra Bet. I just have no idea. I thought the Cobra Bet guy might be Limitless, but then I asked him and he said that he wasn't. And I think their countries are different. So I have no idea. Tupac Shakur, I thought it was Haxton, but it's confirmed it's not Ike Haxton. Because I watched Tupac play at the same time that Ike was playing a streamed live event. So they're not the same person. I was definitely wrong about that. Three-bet jacks. This is a 3-street hand, so I'm going to start with the bet and look to go 3. Not going to bet the turn ace. I think check folding is okay. I think check calling is okay. And he made a nice bet with the pocket queens. Secured some value, secured a showdown. Regression to the mean. Yeah, Tonka is Parker. And he does play quite a bit of 50-100 rat hole, which is kind of like tourneys because it's a lot of 10, 20, 30 big blind play. Polizorg, I wish I knew who that was. I don't know. Somebody very, very good and very scary. I try to stay away from Impalazorg. long time ago I played a little heads up with him. But yeah, he's pretty scary. Ace Queen, I'm okay if this checks all the way to showdown. If he bets, I'm just gonna fold. Super connected turn card. Calling with a gut shot on the left. And stabbing small with 7 high on the right. I'm gonna go kind of big with him bluff on the turn. So bluffing on the left, value betting on the right. And value shoving on the left. Checking, hoping to win against high cards. You know, I've seen some people play like 10k hands and get excited about crushing 200 blitz, but I think in every single instance that I've had follow-up data, by the time they get to like 100k hands, they're not so happy anymore. So, God, this guy's repping like such a narrow range of value. Like, I think he's only going to show like ace-6 or 6s. But I also expect so few bluffs. Ace-Jack, my default is just to fold pre-flop. And Jack-10 I'm going all the way with. Good luck us. Blocking Ace-10, Ace-Jack, King-Jack. A lot of the stronger stuff my opponent can have. Went for the big bluff and did not get through. So, excuse me. A good way to look back on a bluff and try to figure out if it was good or bad or whatever, because sometimes it's kind of hard to know and it's frustrating because you lost a big pot, but I like to look at the hand that called me down. So I look at the hand that called me down, right? I know when I shove this river, I'm going to get called sometimes. And I still think it can be a profitable bluffing situation. So I know when he has pocket 6s, he's always going to call. When he has King-Jack, he's always going to call. Ace-Queen, he's always going to call. Ace-10, he's always going to call. I expect to get called by all of those hands. The hands I'm trying to put pressure on are hands like ace 9, ace 8, ace 7, you know, king queen, queen jack. So those are the hands I really don't want to get called by. Even like ace jack. If he called with ace jack, I would be pretty... I'd feel like I got really outplayed and my bluff was really negative. So anyway, just one way of looking at it. Like, if he shows me like a one pair hand, I'm going to take away that this bluff is terrible. But if you run bluffs like this all the time, and if you're only getting called down by nutted hands like sets and two pair, what that means is your bluffs are working well and you're making money. Now there is like another possibility that you can bluff in a spot where your opponent only has nutted hands, and those spots do come up. So you have to be able to sometimes be like, oh, this bluff was bad because my opponent doesn't have a folding range, or he only, maybe he only calls nutted hands on the turn and doesn't fold stuff on the river. That can happen too. So you have to keep your eye out for that situation. So table 2, I would tend to bet this sometimes at mid stakes or high stakes, where in position is probing quite a bit on the turn, and I can't check call. In these games, people check back a little too much. So I think this is a hand that I'm going to shift to a check, and just hope to get to realize my equity. Probably chopping. Okay, getting kind of hit here. Getting hit here after the failed bluff. How much rake have we paid? $7 of rake. $25 of EV. $36 of USD. Okay, so he flatted the small blind. He's half potting. So I'm putting him on a king, and I'm going to try to push him off of said king. This is a little bit of a for fun play, but I think it's a pretty reasonable play as well with the club and a weak hand strength. when he snap folds, I don't think he had a king. He probably had some sort of bluff. Limp, check, flop second pair, call a min bet. Calling on the turn, and I don't like turning this into a bluff. I think it has too much showdown value. If he bet, I would probably raise as a bluff, but against a check, I'm gonna check. Like, generally, if I am bluffing here, I'm kind of bluffing against a 10. So I'd like to have like 5-7 or 6-7 or something like that. When I have a 10 in my hand, I block his 10x. So I push him toward queen jack, ace queen, or a king. And I don't really need to bluff against ace high or a king when he checks. If he had bet the river, then I can consider trying to bluff against a king with a shove or something. Deep, NA. Thanks, bud. 7 months. I don't think I've seen you in Discord too much. If you're a Discord guy, make sure to join up. Yeah. Question for your sub-anniversary. Live player, 2.5 for 7 BB, 2K hours. And to have done decent in table selecting 5-10 plus. Okay, general strategy, this sounds good. You have your comfort game, you take some shots. I have the drive to keep improving, but I'm at a loss as to what I should be spending my time studying for larger live play specifically. I plan to grind 5-10 and shot take bigger games in Vegas this summer. What would be your recommendation on how I can best spend my time to prepare? That's an interesting one. Honestly, there aren't great resources to improve at live. The most valuable live content that I saw was on Run It Once. And it's actually some very old content, but I think it's still really good. I'm going to try to find the videos. So I don't know if you have a Run It Once Elite membership, but if you do, I can point you to some good videos. Okay. These videos by Garrett Adelstein, who you may know, they're really old. They're from 2014, but they're very, very good. It's like pretty much timeless content for live play. So I would recommend viewing those if you can, if you have a membership. But from a more general standpoint, online poker is really good practice for live. The environments are way different, because live you're often in like 400 big blind spots, and you're playing against more recs. but having like just a better understanding of how poker works and fundamentally sound theory and like having a good decision making process, all that stuff ports over in a pretty helpful way. Who else? There was somebody else that had some pretty good live videos. Let's see if I can find him. I think he was playing like 50K live heads up or something. Who was this guy? I think it was Yo Viral. I think this guy had some... Like, I would watch these videos, how to exploit live players. Oh, these were really good. I remember these now. These were really, really, really good. So I would watch all of these. Yeah, welcome to the micros. I was feeling so good at 250 hands. I was feeling like, wow, micros are so soft. I'm just gonna make $100. And then reality kicked in. Bluffed into the nuts, had a kings against aces, had trips under trips. I think I donk led this pot, which is a mistake. But I still have a pretty good hand. And I'm going to call turn. And very easy river check fold if I face a third bet. Definitely don't want to bluff catch this type of hand. Now I could check shove. But I think that's a little bit too fancy play syndrome. I'm not trying to get people to fold trips at 5 cent, 10 cent. So this is really not a good spot to bluff. My opponent is probably going to be pretty aware that everything missed. 2 flush draws missed, open-enders missed, gutters. And I even expect a micro-stakes opponent to call down ace-high pretty often. So just, I called a min bet on the flop, or a small bet on the flop, and then decided not to bluff. And that's okay. You don't have to bluff every single time you get to the river with a high card. I think that's a worthwhile investment. I mean, it is $100, but if you're playing, 500 and 510, it's well worth it. Like, I've kept my run it once going for the last 5 years, so I've paid them like $5K, but I've also made a career out of poker largely thanks to run it once training. I'm going to check call ace king. Could just open rip, but I think checking gives him the chance to blow up with ace queen or jack 10 or something. And he will have a lot of pairs and things, but given the pot size, the pot's just a little bit too big to fold a hand that has so much equity against his overall range. Like, one thing to keep in mind is check folding, even when he does have it being like pocket sixes. Check folding, I'm giving up. I have 2 overs. I have, backdoor wheel draw. Like, check folding does give up equity, even when my opponent actually has a good hand. So, yeah. Preserving equity is a thing. Hopefully sometimes I get it in good, and sometimes when I get it in behind, I suck out. $0.10. Okay. I'm getting like 7-1 on the turn, so calling should be okay. Okay. I'll call a dime all the way down. All right. I'm quitting. I've been defeated. I've been soundly defeated. And I quit. I'm going to be hanging in the Discord if anyone has questions. No. Not going to give you karaoke. Sorry about the 4 stacks. Playing a global 50 NL, 100 NL. Mr. K BBQ. Dudes, I'm out of here for tonight. I'll be in the Discord to answer more questions and just hang out. And I'll probably stream again tomorrow. Thanks for the sweats. Thank you to those who subbed. And signing off.